Thank you so much, Bear. I'm glad that the truth has finally come out, because that's not the story that we heard and kept hearing over and over and over. You know, a good liar is somebody, not a bad liar, is someone that tells the same story over and over and over. And Daddy kept just telling us the story over and over and over. And Mom and I and Kara and Jeff, we were like, there's no way. That's totally not the truth. Anyways, okay, so our next speaker is a friend that I've had since second grade, Ben. We grew up in the same neighborhood, and we grew up in Gilbert, Arizona, in a small, close-knit, tight community. And we grew up 2 blocks away from each other. If I stood on the second floor of my house, I could see the top of Ben's house. And we might have dated on and off a few times.
We're better friends.
Better friends. We're much better friends. And maybe went to a few homecomings together and all that kind of jazz. But the story that I have about Ben is that Ben was into cars since like he could play with, you know, little mini Hot Wheel cars. So Ben saved and saved and saved and saved when we were kids to buy a car. And he bought some little tiny something, little 2-seater that went super fast. Okay? Like high school kid style. But it had the loudest, most obnoxious exhaust you've ever heard. So my parents would go to bed, and they would lay in bed and wait until they heard Ben's car come home at night, because they knew if Ben was home safe and they could hear it all the way from their house, our house to his house, then I was home safe. And so they would wait to hear Ben's exhaust come down the road. And so Ben's just always had a really special place in our family. My dad was the type of guy that everyone was welcome at our house, everybody. And so Ben was a staple in the Stevens house growing up. And so I'm really, really honored that he drove all the way from California. He has a wife and 2 super, super cute babies. And he took the time on his holiday weekend to come and talk about my dad. So really appreciate it.
Choked up, and now I have to speak. First, I grew up with the Stevens, and I want to say thank you for inviting me out here. And I'm trying to hold it back right now. I'm sorry. I'm truly honored that Kathy reached out to me about a week and a half ago and asked me to say a few things, because I grew up with that, and I had a little bit different experience. I didn't spend as much time as I should have in the most recent years, but definitely had a lot of great times at their house. And as Leah mentioned, we met in elementary school, and I still Kathy brought it up today, the first time I met her, but I definitely remember the first time I met Wayne. And there's a couple things that I noticed about Wayne. Mainly his smile on his face. I walk in the door, he was always one of the first people to greet me. He always had a huge smile on his face, and I'll never forget that. And he was also the ponytail. How can you forget that? that was one of those things that, any event you went to, because he was so involved in the community, he was always helping out the kids, the girls, and Jeff. He was a lot younger at that time, but I always saw him out on the streets playing with Jeff, doing something with Kara, playing basketball or something, and he was really involved in the community. And there was a couple that lived on my street in the cul-de-sac, the Ackleys, and I always saw him over there with you guys. And they were really the second family that I had, and really the second family that I had. I knew that I could always, if I was having a bad day, I could go over there and I could see Wayne and the Stevens family and see that smile on his face and know that, you were welcome, just as Leah had mentioned. He was really the type of guy that everyone was welcome, just like you said. And when I did go to the house, I always saw him watching his son's game with Kara, because they were always on. Like, no matter what day it was, it could have been off the NBA season and he was watching a game for some reason. In my head, he was always watching a game. And And he was also always helping the girls out with school. I know that he was always running around doing a last-minute project for student council. He was always he was the neighborhood dad that was so involved that everybody knew who he was and everybody appreciated him. They could always count on him. Another specific time that I remember specifically is the fact that he'd give you the shirt off his back, and I was so obsessed with my cars. You took it away from me. I was so obsessed with my cars that I had just gotten a brand new windshield. Rock came up and nicked it. I had it for a week. I was so upset. I called Wade and I cried a little, just a little bit. But I still remember that I brought it up in conversation. And Wayne's like, "Come over right now." I'm like, like now? He's like, "Yes, right now. Come over. Let's fix it." And I remember going over there and. I said, "What can I bring you? What can I bring you?" He said, "Nothing. Just come over." So I came over and he fixed my windshield. And it's small and insignificant as that is, just a little rock, crack. But he was willing to just take time out of his day and fix it for me because he knew how much it meant to me. And that's the type of guy he was. And as you mentioned, I have a wife and 2 daughters now. And I really looked up to Wayne. And I still do. And sorry, this is where I'm getting choked up because whether he knew it or not, he really was he had a huge impact in my life and the way I want to be. And I can tell when I used to walk in their house how much he loved his family. He really did. And I just hope that, my wife and my kids know how much I love them as much as Wayne loved his family and how much they knew that he loved them. And it really is something that is special that you can experience when you walk through the door. Above all, he loved his wife, Kathy, and they had a special marriage, and I saw that growing up. And I just hope that I can be just, like I said in the message I sent you, I just hope that I can be half the man that he was and still is. So.